Okay, grade 8s. Let's quickly look at writing notes using ledger lines and what that is about. Now, if we just quickly go back to where we started at the beginning of the year, you learned that we have letter names. We've got 7 alphabet names, and after that we start again. So we will go A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and continue that way. Now, we taught you, and you did look all the way here at the grand stave or the grand stave, and we realized that if you start writing music notes on the staff for the first time, it can really be difficult and it can really be confusing. So, wherever you look on the internet, they always give us a way to help people write notes for the first time, and it's always the same way. So, first of all, let's just think about it. Remember, this keyboard starts on C, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, and depending on the length of my keyboard, I will simply continue with that pattern. Now, what I've got here is I've got the treble clef, and I've written A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and repeated it a little bit again. Now, when you came to school, we said, okay, but let's start with names of notes that we find easily on the staff, and we showed you the F in a space, the A in the space, the C in the space, and the E in the space, and you learned F, A, C, E, and you learned that we can use this little word face, and face you get in a space, and that was a way for you to learn how to write those 4 notes on the staff. Then the next one we showed you was we made different rhymes depending on who you are, where your teachers were perhaps, but we basically used every good boy deserves fruit. And people have Fanta, etc. for that, or fudge. And those are basically, we spent quite a bit of time on this, and these are the basic way of starting to write notes. But we know that if you look at a keyboard, it doesn't only have a few notes on it, like this little paper copy of a keyboard. It's got 4 more names. So easily, we just said, well, listen, we can add on a note there. So make it stay on top. And if it's going to come after F, it has to be G. And we did the same thing on this side. We said, well, you know what? We can actually add on a note before this. And because we go D, E, so obviously if we go back, we go from E to D. And that's how we actually then went and we added more notes. But there are still more notes needed. And to be able to do this, we have to add lines. We have to add these lines to our staves. However, it's not going to work if we now just keep on adding long lines and they right bump into the next staff. So we are going to use short little lines. And I can now add a little line there because I certainly can't go any higher. I've already standing on top of that staircase or on top of that ladder. So I can't add any more notes, go any further. So I have to make a plan, and my plan is that little extra line, and we call that a ledger line. So the next note, if we go higher that way, is from G to A. What now? Remember, we can't just stand on a line. We can actually stand on top of it. So I can actually go one even higher. So I can go from A to B. And you've guessed it, if I want to go one higher, I have to have two little extra spokes in my ladder, so to speak, to climb higher. So I will make two little lines, which we call ledger lines. So guys, from here up to there, we no more have little rhymes of good boys and dogs that are fighting and faces, etc. to work out where we go. Once you have all of these down and you understand them, then we simply know that as the notes go higher, we move up on our staff and we move further along on the alphabet. And those lines there are what we call our ledger lines. And you don't have to know anymore, but we will simply continue with the system. So we will have two extra steps and somebody will stand on top of that. So after the C, it will be D. And then we will need another little ledger line. So now we will need threes. And then if we go one note higher, it will be E. However, we also want to go and write notes lower, below the staff. We've already done it once, but what if we now add a little line here to the bottom? Sorry, that should just be one little line. So if we were on D there, then one lower should be C. Remember, it's A, B, C, D, E, but in reverse, it's E, D, C. Why are we going back in the alphabet? Because we're going lower on the stave, and the sound is going to be lower, of a lower pitch. So, if that was our E there, we are now going D, middle C. And we can continue down that way. So let's see. I can use that same ledger line and I can go below it. And then my note name is B. Now what if I want to go even lower? Well, then I'm going to have another extra spoke in my ladder, or on my ladder, which means I will have two of those. I will go even further down, and that'll be A. So if we go from the year up, A, B, C, D, E. This C is a very special C. It is the way that I write a note that I will find in the middle of the piano keyboard. So if I've got a lot of these next to each other and I'm now on my piano, if I go to more or less in the middle of the keyboard, right across where they write the brand name on top of the piano, I will find a C there. So in other words, a note in front of this little group. And because that is the middle one of all the C's on the piano, we will call that middle C. That we abbreviate with an MC, and if we had to write it out, middle C. A lot of you already know this. We've done this in term 1. That is middle C, but you're not familiar with B and A. And obviously, if we say our alphabet, it's E, D, C, B, A, but now what is before that? Remember, it is G, A, B, C, so in reverse, C, B, A, G. And I'm writing this one here, where I will now start below the two little notes.